I was 15, I left school on the Friday.
Yeah.
Mother said, what are you going to do for a job then, boy? I said, I don't know, Mother. She said, you're starting a quarry Monday. 2 days I had off. When...
2 days holiday.
Yeah, that was
I
it.
had the Christmas, you see, I did quite well.
You got a few weeks, right?
Yeah,
You
I
always
did.
was lucky, right?
I was.
So what did you do on your first day, in your first weeks?
Just the same
learning
you
the
do.
tools and...
You just stand there. I mean, the foreman took me down, and boy let him drop me off. The art boy, he said, that's your crew. I didn't have a clue who they were.
Right.
Nothing.
They're all men, like old
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they looked like big gorillas to me. I was sort of 12 stone wet through. I just stood there looking, they'd all banging away with these things, and the noise and the dust.
got tougher.
Eventually, Alec Gord, I think it was, come over and spoke to me first. What's your name, boy? So I told him. Get on down there, he said, and give Stuart Lynn a man. Well, Stuart was the ganger. You call him Mr. Linham, never call him by the first name. So I went down, he growled something at me, which I didn't understand. And he was drilling holes with a pneumatic drill up the side of the stone. It's quite high. Get hold of the drill up there, boy, because my hands was as soft as soap.
Oh,
So I get hold of the drill, well, out come the dust.
Yeah, all over you.
Right over me, I was like a snowman.
I think you might have known that.
Yeah, quite done on purpose.
initiation.
That was it. Yeah.
Well, no.
Well,
'cause
myself, don't say nothing. Don't.
In 2 years' time, it'll be just the same.
Yeah,
They want to put up holes up there. It was you that put them up.
yeah. It was
They
always the
wasn't going
boy.
to-
Always,
no.
wasn't you?
Eh?
Even when I was married, I was a boy. Still
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were a boy until another boy.
Yeah. Well, none did come, so I was a boy forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I remember when I went in when I was down the choir first time, like, they all went in at 10 o'clock for their tea break. Well, I didn't have any food with me or anything. So
No, because you didn't know what to
you didn't know-
expect.
well, you didn't. You were just dropped there. The foreman dropped me there by the crane. They are, he said. And I'd look, all these
That's
men,
you.
they looked like giants to me. I was only 13 stone wet through. Skinny little thing. And I just stood there looking at myself. Well, what's happening? Well, I think Alex Gould was the first bloke to talk to me. He only
Right.
had one eye. And he swung right round like that. And I thought, well, of course he could only see out this eye. He couldn't see that way. What's your name, boy? So I told him my name. I'm Alec Gould, he said. So I sort of, okay. There's Teddy Board there working the side of a stone, and there he was swinging. Bang, bang, I thought, blimey. Anyway, they went in for their tea break, 10 o'clock. I
Yeah.
stood outside. Get in here, Nipper. That's your seat in there. I was right in the middle, wasn't I? You couldn't get a corner till you was well established.
Oh, no, nobody sat. I never
No.
sat in the corner all the time I was there.
I didn't. Had to get in the middle, and there they was, like Rab said, with their great lumps of bread and cheese and
Yeah.
carving them. I
Talking
couldn't understand
about-
a word they were
No,
saying.
talking about football or the darts or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, or Skittles.
Yeah.
They'd been playing Skittles somewhere. And
Or the
thought
allotment, the
you'd fit
garden,
in.
what they were
No,
growing, or
no.
because they used to have little competitions between blokes like.
had no food, Trevor.
not the first day, no.
Oh,
Of course, I went home covered in stone dust, 'cause like Rab said, the first job they give you is holding the drill up here while they drill.
yeah, and it come out. It would come out like,
Like
a
a-
fountain.
It did, didn't it? Smothered. Because then, you won't believe it, I had black curly hair then, and I was covered.
You-
Now, when our mother looked at me, she said, whatever have you been doing? I said, well, you sent me there, Mother.
Yeah, yeah, it was you did it.
Yeah. But,
The wear on your hands was enormous. Because we used to make a handcuff, didn't we?
Like the
So
old
we used to
boots.
make
With leather.
out of an old boot,
Yeah.
out of the high side of an old boot. We used to cut them out.
To support your wrists.
No, it was to stop your hands wearing away.
Oh, the calluses and things.
Easterly wind did your hands in. Easterly wind was usually dry. Winter or summer is a dry wind. And it took all the oil out of your hands. You had no, and it simply wore the skin away. And I mean, your skin would go pink. Your hands would go pink, wouldn't they? Because they would wear 2 or 3 thicknesses of skin out,
Yeah.
And then you'd have to wear your handcuff, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Rab said, you cut the high bit of the boot out, make a hole in it for your thumb to go through. There's a bit of string over the back tied to the other side, so that the leather sat in your hand to slide up and down the toe when you was working. Otherwise, like I say, you took it red raw. And when you go home and have a wash, then you felt it.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the other thing was chaps.
Yeah.
We had, suffered greatly with chaps in the winter.
What is chaps?
Your hands would crack. I don't know if everybody's the same. Those lines down there that I've got, in the winter, they would split and they would open up. And I've seen men working and the blood splashing up the side of the rock.
Oh.
because of the chaps that opened up, and it's generally it was easterly wind that did it. And it was generally easterly wind that dried your hands and split them.
Yeah.
And this is no exaggeration whatsoever. I can remember on some 10 o'clock breaks, sitting opposite a bloke who, in his spare, after he'd had his lunch, had his sandwiches or bread and cheese, taken out a needle and thread and sewing the worst of his chaps together. And then
Like just like
cut it off, tie a knot in it, cut it off, and then do another one. And sew the chaps up. So they touch.
With just a normal needle and thread.
They do not have like hand cream or anything?
No hand cream, is he?
Yeah, it was,
But not just no hand cream, they couldn't stop work. That's the thing that I'm really thinking, that you're in pain.
all their striking, you see.
What are they striking with, Rab?
Big sledge.
14-pound sledge.
Yeah, they weighed about 14 pounds. So you struck that way, you see, because all the wedges to lift, all the wedges were about that high up.
Off the ground, like that.
So they drive them all in, and every now and again somebody shouted and they'd put another wedge in. It wouldn't take long, just putting in and strike again, and off you go. And I used to work down home. When I worked down home, which wasn't very often, with Dickie Stokes. Dickie strike forever. I mean, I don't know how old he was at the time. He must have been 55, 60.
Yeah.
And I was 18 or 17 or something, stripped of the waist, pair of shoes and hobnail boots and a woolly hat. And he had thick underwear and a woolly vest, and he didn't seem to sweat at all. And we'd strike, and I'd think, for Christ's sake, Dick, shout bout.
Yeah.
I couldn't shout first. I was only the boy.
Yeah.
And he'd strike and I'd strike. We'd all strike together, like you say. And I used to think, for Christ's sake, Dick, shout, I want a spell. Shout bout. And he'd shout bout a little bit. And I think, oh, thank God for that. Sweating like a pig.
And if there was an awkward spot to strike the wedges, the boy would be put in the awkward spot.
Oh, well, yeah.
Where you couldn't really sort of swing.
That was what we was there for, wasn't it?
And like Rab said, you'd be there banging away, think, please stop.
Yeah.
And somebody say, bang.
And he'd been doing it all his life, see?
Yeah.
All their life,
All
since
his
they were
life.
that age.
All his life. Hands like leather.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Through
And
all weathers.
it was like Trevor saying, the boy did this and the boy did that. In the winter, if you had frosty mornings, really cold, apart from in the evening before, we used to put a stone to one side, 2 or 3 stones, rough, that needed a lot of work on them, a lot of picking. We put them there to warm you up in the morning. So you had something to get out there with, where it was bitterly cold, and you could work a stone. But apart from that, before that, while the men were still in the hut talking about the darts match from the evening before or whatever it was, they send you out with a small sledge, and you'd have to knock all the steel off the rocks, because the rock, you know, is what they call the bed you were working was called the rock. And all the steel had been thrown down, so your tools, the wedges, the irons, the chains, everything that evening, when you'd finish work, everything was, that's it. You didn't put anything away, it went down, that was it. So when you went out first thing in the morning, it was all frozen on. So the first thing the boy had to do was go round and knock it all off.
Loosen it all off.
Yeah.
While they were all having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they had the convicts' quarries up on Grove Corner, they used to run, people used to come, visitors used to come to watch the convicts working in the quarry.
Was that earlier on now? Or even when
No,
later?
it had stopped by the Second World War.
Yeah.
Day trippers coming in.
Halfway up Grove Road, there's a house with just the top bay window. And that used to be a tea room.
Yeah.
And
And they
the
used to
old
go in there because they
coaches
could
would
see
draw
in the
up,
quarries.
Go upstairs in the tea room, have their cup of tea and a cake, and you could see the quarries. They sit
See them
there
working.
just
And our
watching them work.
our feller used to say, it would have been a sentence had them people in the convict quarry worked as hard as a Portlander. But they didn't. There was hundreds of them and they just wandered about, and they took ages to make anything because they weren't quarrymen. They were all prisoners. But they came to look, people came to look. But if you wanted to see somebody working, you should have gone next door.
Did you ever get people, or was it just the kind of culture where you wouldn't have even got close to a working quarry like now? I mean, we wouldn't ever know anyway.
Occasionally they used to bring us down, bring people down. Our fellers went on once, went on home. They said, who's this coming in through the engine road then? And there was the foreman with half a dozen people coming in. And our fella said, I ain't having this, here's a bugger off. And they jacked it in and all went home. Didn't do that too often. Didn't have them in. They wouldn't have it, see. No.
Didn't want to encourage that sort of,
No.
yeah.
I remember when I not long started, I was doing a big cut down the whole sort of length of this room, and I was up top and I was looking out over like that, and they just got all the plugs and feathers in, started to hit, saw me and stopped. Get out of there, they said.
Yeah.
So I thought, what have I done? Get back. And the Alec Cole said, don't watch them, boy, he said. He said, you got power. I said, what do you mean power? He said, well, if you watch them, the cut will go wrong. He said, then you will be in trouble. He said, keep back. But it was really, yeah, real taboo thing it was.
Was that anyone or just you, Trevor?
No, any. Could have been Sarah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Trevor.
No, it was anyone watching them cut a stone. That was bad news. It's like that day when the film crew came to our quarry and they had about 10 places in. And they had the old quarryman there to hit the wedges and sing. And Neddy Skinner was one. He used to work here when he retired.
Yeah, he was.
But he was so broad Portland, no one could understand what he was saying. But anyway, they've been rehearsing, and come 5 o'clock, all the machinery stopped. And their cameras all set up, and all the quarrymen. I don't know if the producer would be, director, somebody would say, okay then, off we go. Bang, they'd all sing. There's Ned Skinner. Stop, Mr. Skinner, you're not singing. I ain't going to, he said. To the lady, what was in charge. She said, pardon, I ain't going to sing. So when the quarryman translated, he's not going to sing. Why? Because I don't want to. And it took ages, and in the end he did, because her lady charms, I suppose. And, he started singing. And there's a film of that, I've seen that too.
Yeah, they were quite shy I'm not sure that's the right word, but
Well, it'd be different in the quarry than performing or to...
Yeah, you get some
That's it,
strangers
yeah.
there,
Well, you'd
and
be,
they wouldn't do it.
yeah, you'd be a bit private about it,
Yeah.
I suppose, because it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very much a little group of your own in the quarry, and the outside world didn't exist really. It was just you few people, and that's how it was.
5 men to a crew, and sometimes 5 men and a boy.
Yeah, we had 6, did we? Because Gordon Stone had been called up for national service.
Right.
No, I never met Gordon Stone. He was the boy until he was called. I took his place, but he was coming back.
But when
And
he
they've-
came back, he was a man,
Yeah.
because he was the boy. You
The
see?
quarryman used to say to me, "You look out when Gordon get back, boy, or put you to butt."
Yeah.
I was
put him-
terrified. Yeah, they kept on about this Gordon Stone. Here, sort you out.
He was
You
ever
better-
so quiet, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he-
And when he came back, where he'd just come out of the army, he was marching. For years he marched.
and upright, I suppose.
Very upright.
Yeah.
Although, oh my goodness me. But he was good as gold.
Yeah, he was ever so quiet.
Yeah. Gordon come on with a jar that big, I reckon, full of chopped up onions and vinegar. That was his pickled onions. He'd eat with his... He'd pass the jar to me. I said, no thanks. He roll... Oh. Terrible.
Rover, they called him. His
Rover, his brother, yeah.
Rover.
Oh.
I mean, it was
me.
a quarryman's lunch at 10 o'clock when they stopped at 10 for their lunch. It was often the top of a cottage loaf or something like that. A large slice off the end of a £2 loaf or whatever it was. And it was generally warm, because often they'd buy it on the way to work.
That's right, yeah.
So it had only just been baked, so it was warm, and they'd had a slice. They had a big slice of butter like that. They'd take a piece out the top of the bread, put the butter in, put the piece on top again, and then they'd have an onion or whatever to go with it, and some meat, and you'd have it in your hand, and you'd have a piece of that and a bit of that and some butter spread.
Bad hand.
We didn't eat
Yeah.
it. We didn't have a plate, no plates.
No sandwich that was pre-made.
No.
With everything inside it already.
No.
You'd be considered strange if you come to work with a sandwich.
Yeah.
Blimey. I know they sent us all over to Weymouth Technical College 1 day a week when we was apprentices. So there was 8 or 9 of us. And we used to play up hell over there really. We didn't want to be over there, we wanted to be in the quarry.
Yeah.
And we used to play up, and in the end they kicked us out. And we had to go up in front of Jimmy Pictor.
Did you?
Yeah. The big line of us in his office. He sat behind his desk, wasn't he? We all stood there looking. He said, "I'm not pleased with you lot," he said, his posh accent.
Yeah.
He said, "They don't want you at the college anymore." He said, "I've got you here to give you a good reprimand." He said, "You're silly buggers," he said. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was the reprimand, yeah. Yeah, you silly buggers. He said, "Hey, get out."
And that was the end of the college.
That was it. Yeah, we didn't go again. Well, they wouldn't have us.
What were you doing, Trevor?
Well, just,
Like a sack full of
Too
black.
wild.
Yeah, a sack full of black crabs, innit?
yeah.
Running in all directions, they'd be terrible.
We went charging up the stairs. You know Winston Anthony?
Yes.
He fell down and smashed all his teeth on the steps. Yeah. Hell, just,
Safer in
I mean,
the
you wouldn't
quarries.
open the door, you just sort of charged through it. We was like animals,
So
really.
you're safer in the quarry.
Well, they couldn't teach her about quarrying, could they?
No, what could they
You had this
teach
fella
her?
stood there with a
They'd have
white
to-
coat with all these qualifications on about density and lights and this lights and something else. We thought, what's he on about?
Yeah.
We just didn't want to know.
They'd have had to come to you in the quarries.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
point things out in real life.
And they
wouldn't
weren't quarrymen.
No.
They were clever, educated people.
Yeah.
We were just animals, you know.
And we were too.
And we had a salesman come. He was a car salesman from Oxford. John somebody or the other.
Yeah.
And we was up H Quarry. We cut this stone, I'm not exaggerating, from here to the corner of that wall long, I reckon, and about 5 feet high. We cut it right down the middle. We parted it so we could get the chains round. He comes in his car. "Just a minute," he said. So I said, "What's the matter?" "I want to go in there." So he went between sniffing the stone.
Sniffing it.
I said, "What are you doing?" Well, he said, "You can tell if it's good quality if you sniff it."
Somebody told them that. See,
I said,
they winding it up.
I said, "What flavour is it then, John?"
What's flavoured?
He sniffed. I had to turn away. I was laughing so much I had to walk away. And the others were just stood there. It's just incredible.
No hard hats, did you?
Oh, no hard hats. No, our men wouldn't have wore hard hats if they'd give them, but they didn't. And they wouldn't wear goggles either.
Nor defenders.
No,
Nothing.
I had several men with one eye that lost them picking stone, scabbling.
Do you have steel, no steel toe?
Yes, steel toe caps. Yes, we had steel toe. You had to buy your own, but you had steel toe caps. Yeah, I mean that's how I had my foot crushed, because a stone came down on top of me steel toe cap and pushed the steel toe cap through the sole of me boot. So it squashed it up. I had to, because it was a biggish piece.
Yeah.
I mean,
Would it be? I suppose it would have been worse without the steel toe.
Oh yeah, you probably emptied me toes out as well, like you see. Yeah. I did that twice. I did that twice.
What would happen if someone was injured, relatively minor or major? What's the general outcome?
Well, minor, if you squash your fingers, you just wrap a rag round it, not necessarily a bandage. Rip off a bit of rag off somebody's old coat and carry on.
Put stone dust in a cup.
Or chuck stone dust
put stone
on
dust on. That stops it bleeding wonderfully. Yeah, because it's very fine and the sort of places, And I was doing this one day, and the fella said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm putting some stone dust over me because I had a cut." He said, "You shouldn't do that." He said, "Look, the disease in there." I said, "The last time that saw the light of day," I said, "was 60 million years ago." I said, what's going to be in that?
No, I've said before, Nick Gould, he was down the hole and his appendix burst. So they lowered down this big square box with chains on, chucked him in, hooked him up over, put him on the task, up on the top of the quarry, waiting for the ambulance to come. They just carried on working. They just left him in the box in agony. I can see him now, like this he was. And nothing you can do.
No. And because it had worn for so many thousands of years, all the shells in it, in the roach, and possibly in the whip bed, were all exposed because they'd washed away the face of the stone, right? So they might stick out like that, all these little thin pieces of shell all the way out through. And he went down through the gullet like that there. And his scalp, anybody want to hear this? His scalp, when they got him up, he couldn't see because his hair was over his eyes. It had lifted his scalp right over like that in front of him. And he broke, can't remember now, one leg on one side and the shoulder on the other side. And they put his scalp back over like so. Now, obviously, they had to have the ambulance for him. He came up in the iron box as well. So
You didn't just put a bit of stone dust on him then?
No, not that time. No. I was in the Crown over Weymouth one night. I was only a nipper. I was 17 or 18. And I got talking to this fella that he was drinking in the Crown, and we were talking. Where do I come from? And I come from Portland. And did you know this man? And did you know that man? And I say yes. And Yank Gilbert was one of them that he was friendly with. But Dickie Bird was his particular mate. And this chap over Weymouth in the Crown said to me, I used to go over and visit Dickie Bird on the train, go over on the train and get out at the station down in Victoria Square. And I'd look out the train window, the carriage window, and if I couldn't see Dickie Bird on the station, on the platform, I wouldn't get out of him. He'd turn around and go on back. If Dickie was late or for some reason he hadn't turned up, this fella wouldn't get off the train. Because he wouldn't walk up through Chisel on his own. Somebody'd have him, or several somebodies had have him.
Do you think it was really like that?
Oh yeah. Yes, he wasn't spinning the yarn.
Out straight away if you were. Everyone would know straight away that.
Oh,
person
yes,
wasn't
you would, yeah.
You spot a stranger straight off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still live up the Grove. I was born up there, and people wouldn't come up the Grove unless you lived there.
No, I was told to go to the Grove.
You just would not come up there.
There was places you wouldn't go.
I mean, one Christmas, one side of the road was fighting the other side, and all us kids was up in the top window, shouting on your own bigger brothers and father and that. And they sent the police up there, and they come to the top of the road because it's a cul-de-sac, Victoria Road. And he looked down through the road. He said, "I'm not going in there," and went on.
Yeah.
Got the naval patrol up to help. They looked. They wouldn't go in there. They all went on. But that very night, we was all in the Grove Inn drinking together. Yeah. It was just a one-off, and that was finished.
Yeah.
You didn't bear grudges.
But there was gangs, like Chisel and Fortune's Well, and.
That's nothing to do with the quarries.
No,
nothing to do with the quarry. This is social, family, territory.
Yeah. Very tribal. Yeah. Underhill and Top Hill. If you couldn't find anybody else to fight.
That's still a bit now, I think. Top Hill and Underhill.
Toby, I remember Toby down the volunteer. Toby saying, "Stand still, you bugger, while I hit you."
Yeah.
Because he kept weaving about.
I mean, I used to get a night time with £1. I could get 5 woodbines, a pint, a bag of chips, and still have change out of £1. You get 10 bob note, you was king. Go out down east and swaggering around. Yeah.
Used to go out of a Friday night, I could drink it over a Friday night.
Where was the best place to go on a Friday night?
Oh, usually where the blokes didn't go.
Yeah, keep out of the way of the Quarrymen, yeah. You don't want to mix with them.
You wouldn't go in Cove House.
No.
Or places like that.
No.
Or a volunteer.
You'd be right into all of them, wouldn't it?
Volunteer or punch bowl.
Yeah. Corner ice.
Yeah.
You'd avoid all those because that was where the quarrymen.
Well, because you wasn't old enough to drink for a start. I mean, we wasn't 18, you're talking about 15. I could drink 10 pints when I was 15. And that was my money gone on a Friday.
I reckon I was there, 2 years in the quarry before I called them by their first name.
Yeah.
It was always Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. this, Mr. that. And Stuart Linham, the sort of the ganger, Mr. Clean as they used to call him, he was really up way above our level. And Alec Gould said to me once, he said, "Call him Stuart, boy." I said, "No." He said, "He'll be all right." I said, "No, I ain't going to."
No, I ain't going to.
I said, "I'm not falling for that one."
Yeah, you had a great deal of respect for your grown-ups. Because they would have no nonsense. They would not,
I mean, in the quarry especially, because their experience could save your life. Yeah. If you sort of ignored what they were telling you and done the wrong thing, you could easily have been killed. So that was respect in that, in as much as they were the people that knew what they were doing.
I was only talking earlier on, because we had a Sansom, our ganger was a Sansom. Reg Tinney.
He's a big fella, wasn't he, Reg?
Reg, yeah. He could work stone. I worked stone with Reg. God, I used to get on with all of them. I liked them fellas. Yeah. Really liked them old boats. Not having a father, because a lot of us were war children, and there wasn't any men in the families. There was a lot of single parents. And I don't know, I often thought about it afterwards, why I got on with them all so well. But I just wondered if it was because I didn't have a father.
Yeah,
so they were...
father figures, I suppose.
They were like, they brought you up in their way, like the fishermen on the beach, just the same.
They looked after you.
Yeah, they'd look after you and they'd...
bring you up as well.
Yeah.
You were very respectful.
Oh well, yes. Yes, you learn that very early.
Indeed, you
like
did.
You said, you didn't call them by their first names.
No. And excuse me, and do you mind, and good morning, and all the rest of it. Otherwise, it would have been a great airy fist up under your ear. Yeah. You see, the fella would go like, that'd be that it. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the first smack under the ear I ever had, was when I was fishing up the beach with the mackerel cruise. There was my mate's father was there. Huddy, his name was. He was a Huddy. And they always used to sit under the boat when they waited for the fish to come along. They'd sit under the boat and play cards. Someone would lay a Macintosh out or something, see, and they'd play on top of the thing. And they were all sat round, and then you had one fella stood up all the time by the stern to watch for the wazer, and the rest used to play cards. And I went over and I was ever so polite, and I said, "Good evening, Mr. Ruddy, and where's David this evening?" And he went, "Home where you ought to bloody be." And that was it, because he didn't like the boys, because we were just like a lot of black crabs. We was running everywhere. We used to get bored very easily. You see.
Aye, that was Stan Cornick, the local copper. Can you remember him?
Yeah.
They just put brand new signs up for the quarries, beware of blasting. It was getting near bonfire night, so I down there with my axe. I only hit it once, I don't know where he come from. But the hand, well, felt like that big grab. He dragged me out and whacked me round the side of the head. I run home crying. Father said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "Mr. Cornick just hit me round here, Dad." "What for?" "Chopping down the side, whack I round the other side."
Yeah.
And a bit later on, he called me down, Father, and Copper was sat there having a cup of tea. Yeah, well, that's how they were. And as I told the tale before this company came, this massive great bulldozer, and a great big tooth on the back.
Yes, they did. I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They're going to rip all the stone, the overburden off.
Going to.
We'll rip it, we'll get
play
this away.
havoc.
They was going to do wonders. The quarryman said, "I don't think you will." "Yeah, you watch, stand back and watch." So we stood back and watched. Put this massive great tooth, the tracks on the thing skidded, the thing fell down the hole. Of course, we just turned away, and that was it.
You couldn't.
Can you imagine all the quarrymen just looking away?
You couldn't pull blocks. You can't pull. They would work in places like
More like chalk quarries,
yes,
I would say.
or up at
Yeah.
pardon?
Bath, yeah,
Yeah,
sandstone,
somewhere
yeah.
like that. They would work where the stone was smaller, where the individual pieces were smaller. But here they might be several hundred ton. The block before you cut it, when you cleared the head and looked at it, and then you decided how you were going to go about getting it out, I mean, several hundred tons in one of those, just one piece. A bulldozer with a hook wasn't really going to do much, though they thought they were.
I remember once we shifted crane. We day worked then for 3 or 4 days while we shift crane.
Yeah.
And Charlie Carter was a crane driver. He thought all sorts of nonsense. He said, "I've got a problem with the crane, boy." He said, "Go up Technical and ask for a long wait in this main stores up there." So I went, didn't I? I had to walk from just out here all the way up by Chesil Beach Motors. Brusher White was in the store. "What you want, boy?" I said, "Charlie Carter sent me up for a long wait." "Oh, hang on," he said, "I'll go and get you one." He just, of course, he
They
disappeared.
leave you there.
There
'cause
I
you
was,
had a
left,
long wait, you
looking
see.
round. "You can go back now then." He said, "You've had your long wait." I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, no."
For a bucket full of air.
That's right, yeah, or a skyhook.
Yeah, skyhook, yeah, ask them for a skyhook.
And the boys were sent to another butcher to ask the other butcher there if do you keep dripping?
Yeah.
Keep dripping.
We usually end with Trevor saying "best years of my life," so I'm just waiting for him to say that before
Best
so I know that
years
it's
of my
finished for
life.
today.
Yes. Well, it
Yeah,
was.
there's no doubt about
I
it.
enjoyed myself
no
as
doubt.
well. Yes, I was.
It was the best years of my
Oh,
life.
there we are. Thank you so much. Thank you all, but thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Trevor and Rab and Paul, and for everybody coming along.